Good evening and welcome. Thank you for coming to tonight's event. I am Jean Greenwood. I work at the Wisconsin Institute for Public Policy and Service, and we are very proud to be co-sponsoring this event this evening along with the University of Wisconsin Marathon County campus. So once again, thank you for coming. Professor Lippy, can we give him a good round of applause?
Thank you very much, Jean, and thank you to Wisconsin Institute for Public Policy and Service for co-sponsoring this along with UW Marathon County. It's my great privilege to have here tonight two visitors from one of the indigenous nations of Ecuador. I'll present them right now, and then they're going to go back into hiding. They're a little shy for the moment, and then we're going to go through the program, and you'll get plenty of chance to hear from them. So let me just present to you Hennry and Diana Calazacon from Ecuador. And I'm just going to take a couple of minutes of time here to tell you a little bit about the background to this. As some of you know, I am an archaeologist here in our Department of Anthropology. I go to Ecuador every year. I've been going for decades to do archaeological research. For the last 20 plus years, I have been researching pre-Hispanic peoples in Ecuador that the Spaniards referred to as the Yumbos. Not much was known about them. They were pretty much unknown to modern Ecuadorians until I and a couple other people began studying them. So I have dedicated much of my career to looking for and excavating archaeological sites of these people. The Spaniards indicated that they had more or less died off from a series of epidemics that struck them from other causes following the Spanish conquest. But it turns out that they hadn't completely died off, that the Tsachilas, two of whom are with us today, in fact, are the living descendants of the Yumbos, the last descendants of the Yumbos. On the basis of my work, I've calculated that the Yumbo population just prior to the Spanish conquest in 1532 was approximately 25,000 people. And today, as you're going to hear from Hennry and Diana, their population is a little under 2,500, so about less than 10% of what it was of just 5 centuries ago. During my work in Ecuador, I've had occasion to go visit with the Tsachilas. One of the projects I have is to try to get some of their young people interested in archaeology so that eventually they and other Ecuadorian archaeologists can take over this project. I've already trained several Ecuadorian archaeologists, but they're not indigenous peoples. I want to get some indigenous peoples involved as well. That's one of my interests. We have gone down with students from this campus and from other UW campuses to visit the Tsachilas and visit other indigenous groups in Ecuador. And it was in 2006 when I first met Hennry and Diana Calazacon. They have constructed on their reservation what they call a living ethnographic museum. They'll be talking more about that and showing pictures of it. But that was my first acquaintance with them, and since then we've had occasion to meet. And this past summer, I was on their reserve helping them to look at the feasibility of undertaking an oral history project, interviewing some of their elders, getting cultural information before it's lost, and also trying to recover some of their historical information. And that project may or may not go forward. We're still doing a feasibility study on that. While I was there this summer, Hennry mentioned to me that he had had the opportunity to travel to Europe as a spokesperson for the Tsachilas Nation. He'd been to Spain and briefly was in France and Germany. He's also traveled to Central America, to Colombia in South America, to the Dominican Republic, and he is an official spokesperson of his tribe, of his nation, and they are trying to reach out to the world to teach people about their culture and also to learn more about other cultures, indigenous or not. And so I helped to arrange their visit to Wisconsin. They've had a fairly busy program the last several days, making public appearances, and also have visited now 3 Native American reservations here in Wisconsin. to make connections with some of the native peoples here. So without any more delay, I'm very, very happy to turn the mic over to, I think Henry's going to begin the program, and Diana will be coming in occasionally to talk. I'll be translating for them. They speak their native language, Safiki, which I do not speak. They speak Spanish, which I do speak. I'll be interpreting for them. And in fact, before I turn it over to them, they want to begin the program with about 10 minutes of a video that they've made in Ecuador. It's in Spanish, but it has English subtitles. Unfortunately, the person that provided the English subtitles was not obviously a native English speaker. They're a little bit mangled in places, but I think you can make out most of it. And then they'll be going back during their slideshow presentation after this short video and explaining some of what you're about to see. So let's just begin with the video, if we may. We'll run it for about 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to a slideshow talk. Thank you.
Esta región fue conocida a principios de la época colonial con el nombre de Provincia de los Yumbos, habitada en aquellos tiempos por los Niguas, los Yumbos y los Tsachilas. El nombre de Santo Domingo se origina aproximadamente en 1660, con la presencia de la orden de predicadores dominicos que evangelizaron a los pueblos de la zona. La palabra Tsáchila significa verdadero grupo de personas, y su lengua materna es el Tsafiki, la cual utilizan continuamente para comunicarse entre ellos. Son considerados uno de los pueblos con más conocimiento médico-vegetal en las Américas. Las mujeres sáchilas son muy hábiles con sus manos, ya que tejen su tunán, que es una falda multicolor en conexión con el arco iris. También tejen una de color negro y blanco para los hombres, en representación de las serpientes o tzapini.
video. Okay, thank you. Henry's going to start with some narration and illustrate it with slides, and I'll translate as he goes along.
Muy buenas noches.
Good evening.
Es un honor de estar en este estado, Wisconsin, en esta universidad que es famosa del mundo, que se escucha allá en Sudamérica.
It's an honor for them to be here in the state of Wisconsin and to be in a part of the University of Wisconsin, which is famous throughout the world.
Traigo saludos de mi territorio.
I bring greetings from my homeland.
Yo soy de cuarta generación de los nativos, último guerrero Tsachilas que falleció hace 33 años.
He is the fourth generation of the last warrior Tsachilas. His great-grandfather was the last great hereditary chief of the nation and died about 40 years ago.
El mensaje que traemos es que somos los últimos grupos étnicos con su indumentaria, con su idioma, con su forma de vida muy diferente, y no queremos que muera esta cultura, y por eso traemos el mensaje para promover, conservar y cómo preservar.
We come here with a message about our culture. Our culture is unique in the world. It's gradually being lost. Our language is gradually being lost, and we want people around the world to know about us, and we are struggling to maintain our culture, and in the meantime we're reaching out to people to tell them about our people.
Mi nombre nativo es Tsapini.
My native name is Sapine,
Tsapini es una serpiente.
and that's a name for a snake in their language.
Todos los nativos llevamos nombres de territorio, puede ser de aves, puede ser reptiles, puede ser rocas o cosas que sea de algo espiritual también.
All of their people, besides their Spanish, given Spanish names, they have indigenous names. Most of them are named after animals or plants or rocks or something spiritual.
Como nativos tenemos un idioma propio que es Safiki.
We have our own language, which is called Sapiki.
Para decir bienvenido decimos Seke Hayun.
Seke Hayun is how we say welcome.
Gracias decimos Ho.
Thank you is Ho.
Sha, Mesha. Dice Sha es caminar o avanzar.
And the word Cha means to advance or to walk.
Quiero adentrar en este momento a hablar acerca del por qué nos llamaron indios colorados como una historia marcada.
He's going to begin by telling a story about why they were called the Colorado Indians by the Spanish. They've always been known in Ecuador, not by their own name, the Tsachilas, but by the name Colorados that was given to them by the Spanish.
Antiguamente, voy a hablar desde el año 1660, donde atacó la epidemia llamada fiebre amarilla y la viruela.
If you go back to the 1700s, around 1660, they were hit by a series of epidemics, including smallpox and yellow fever. These were brought over to the New World by the Spaniards.
Llevamos cabelleras largas.
At that time, the men had long hair.
Murieron muchos nativos por esta epidemia y el gran jefe, el chamán, dijo, vaya a buscar 2 frutos silvestres.
A lot of people died from these epidemics. And their head chief at that time said, go out into the forest and find 2 fruits, bring them back here, they will help us to fight these epidemics.
Encontraron el fruto que es achote, desgranaron todo bastante y pintaron todo el cuerpo de rojo.
The first fruit they found is called achote, which is a fruit that has seed pods that have red seeds in them that can be made into red pigment. They completely covered their bodies from head to foot with this reddish pigment.
Entonces, al tercer día de esta ceremonia ritual, fue cicatrizándose los granos de la viruela.
And what they noticed, by the 3rd day after they painted themselves with this red pigment from the achote plant, their poxes were beginning to dry up and they were getting over their illnesses.
Entonces, el gran jefe dijo, tenemos que abandonar este territorio.
And then their chief said, now we have to leave this country because it is infested with these diseases.
Entonces se fueron al río, encontraron obsidiana.
They went down to the closest river and they found obsidian, which is volcanic glass.
Con la ayuda del uno al otro empezaron a coger su cabellera, empezaron a cortar al rapé y botaban al río para que a ese espíritu le lleve.
They helped each other with the obsidian blades to cut their hair off, to cut it very short. They threw this hair into the river so it would be washed away. They thought that the bad spirits that had brought the diseases would be washed away with it.
Entonces el gran jefe dijo, vamos a llevar signo o señal de vida en la parte superior. El corte fue igual que el fruto silvestre, el achote.
So their head chief said, in light of this, that we were saved by this plant, the men are going to begin painting their hair with this and cutting their hair so that it resembles the fruit pod of this achote plant.
Luego de eso, el fruto silvestre que se llama mali, sacaron y empezaron a pintar su rostro.
The other fruit that they got is called mali. It's known in Mexico as huito. And they began to use this. When you open this up, cut it open, it has a liquid in it that you can paint on your face or your body. And over a few minutes, it gradually turns black. And that will remain on their skin for 2 or 3 weeks. And they started using that to paint themselves as well.
Entonces, los puntos, el mensaje representa lo que es la viruela.
So they paint their faces in different manners, but Hennry here paints his face with a series of dots across his cheeks, and those represent the poxes from the smallpox that they suffered through.
Lo que sube y baja, porque los nativos fueron nómadas, caminaron planicie, subieron montañas altas, bajaron Noros entre Pichincha y empezaron a asentar esa parte. Entonces se representa montañas.
He also has on his face painted lines that represent mountains up and down. This represents the journey that they went through as they migrated first down into what is today Ecuador, and then later on to escape the epidemics. They kept moving as nomadic peoples, and the up and down lines, the zigzag lines on their faces represent that journey.
Y la corona blanca representa autoridad, dignidad.
And they also, many of the men wear this white crown on top of their hair, and this is made out of cotton, and it represents authority and dignity.
Aquí viene lo más importante de los nativos Tsachilas, el por qué estamos aquí. El mensaje es, somos 2,400 nativos en peligro de extinción.
The reason why they are here in Wisconsin to talk to you is because there are only 2,400 people left from their nation, and their culture is in danger of extinction.
7 territorios.
They live on 7 different reservations.
Este 7 territorio tiene 10,500 hectáreas.
The total land area for those 7 reservations is 10,500 hectares, which would be approximately 25,000 acres.
No pagamos impuesto al Estado.
On their lands, they do not pay taxes to the Ecuadorian government.
Pero estamos en peligro porque el gobierno de Estado ecuatoriano cada día, cada tiempo está cambiando leyes y de pronto puede retirar nuestro territorio.
But they're in danger because the government keeps changing their laws, and when somebody takes interest in that land, outsiders, it's very possible the land can be taken away from them. They've already lost some, and they're in danger of losing more.
Ahora voy a hablar acerca de los dioses que creemos.
He's going to talk a little bit about their gods.
Entonces, Diana va a explicar acerca del Dios hombre y Dios mujer. Diana.
Diana's going to talk about their 2 principal deities.
Buenas noches, gracias por... buenas noches, mi nombre es Diana Calazacon, represento a la mujer Tsáchila de Santo Domingo.
Good evening, my name is Diana Calazacon. I'm here in representation of the women of the Tsachilas Nation.
Les voy a explicar sobre los dioses de los Tsachilas.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the deities.
Creemos en los dioses de la naturaleza.
We believe in nature gods.
El dios hombre es el sol, se llama Pipua.
The male god that we worship is the sun god, and in their language he's called Pipua, which is the word you see on the second line up there.
El dios mujer es Mapian, es la diosa de las cascadas, lagunas y ríos.
And they also worship a goddess named Mapi, and she is considered to be the goddess of waterfalls.
Tenemos lo que es el Poneshuyá, es el chamán.
They have men among them, their tribe, known as Pone, and they are the shamans, the great spiritual leaders of their tribe.
Es el curandero.
They're healers.
Por ejemplo, ellos para poder realizar las curaciones tienen que invocar a los dioses de la naturaleza.
And in order to do a curing ceremony, for example, they have to invoke these nature gods.
Luego tenemos una bebida sagrada que se llama nepi.
They also have a plant, a sacred plant that they use that's called nepe. Its name more commonly is known as ayahuasca. In their language they call it nepe.
Por ejemplo, al momento de ingerir esta bebida, el chamán le ve a la persona transparente.
They believe that when the shaman takes this ayahuasca, this nepe, which is a hallucinogenic drug found in the tropical forest, that he then has the ability to see through a person as if they were transparent.
Le ve la enfermedad y según eso le hace la curación y le da los remedios.
And then that allows him to diagnose, determine the cause of the illness, and then he's able to prescribe medicinal plants to cure it.
Bien, también voy a hablar de la mujer Tsachilas.
She's also going to talk about Tsachilas women.
La vestimenta que la mujer lleva es multicolor.
The women typically dress in multicolored skirts, as you see there.
Se llama tunán y tiene el significado al arco iris.
The different colors represent the rainbow.
El de los hombres se llama mampechampá y tiene el significado a la culebra X.
The men, on the other hand, wear the black and white striped garments, and these represent one of the snakes which is common in their region, which is called X in Spanish. In English or in French, it's the perdolans. This is a very poisonous viper.
Bien, es la marimba el instrumento autóctono que nosotros utilizamos para las fiestas o reuniones familiares.
This instrument you may recognize is the marimba. They've used this for many centuries now. It was actually introduced from outside a long time ago, but they use this for their festivals.
La marimba está elaborada por lo que es la chonta o el pambil.
The upper part, the panels that they strike with the mallet are made out of palm wood, known as chonta or pambil.
El bambú es lo que le da el eco para que suene la chonta.
And then underneath you might notice the resonating chambers, which are tubes made from bamboo. They're going to demonstrate this a little bit later.
Tenemos una fiesta tradicional que es el Kasama.
They have a yearly festival known as Kasama.
Para nosotros es como comenzar un año nuevo.
It's more or less a New Year's festival.
Se celebra justo el 15 de abril.
Their New Year's fall, according to their lunar calendar, falls around April 15th.
Se reúnen personas de las 7 comunidades.
And people from the 7 different reservations come together to celebrate this.
Realizan la molienda.
One of their activities is to grind sugar cane using this traditional mill. They're feeding the sugar cane into it and the juice comes out. They obtain the juice from the sugar cane.
El jugo de caña lo ponemos a fermentar en una canoa de balsa por 15 días.
And then this sugar juice that they collect, they will dump into a dugout canoe and leave it out for about 2 weeks to ferment.
Y lo tomamos en la fiesta.
And then they drink that for their festival.
Ahora les voy a hablar sobre el telar.
I'm going to talk a little bit now about their textiles.
Es donde tejemos la vestimenta hacia del hombro de la mujer.
The women have the responsibility for weaving their fabrics.
Por ejemplo, ahora en la actualidad nosotros compramos la lana, el color al gusto de uno y lo ponemos a tejer.
In recent times, the women have started going to stores to buy the yarn for their weaving.
Antiguamente tenían que esperar que sea la cosecha del algodón, hilarle.
Prior to that, they used to have to wait. They raised cotton. They would wait for the cotton to be harvested, and then they would spin it into thread.
Ponerle colores de unas plantas.
They would then add plant dyes to it.
Se demoraba más o menos un mes para elaborar una falda.
And then weave it, and then the whole process took about 1 month to make one skirt.
Ahora en la actualidad se demoran solo 8 días.
And now that they're going out to buy the yarn manufactured, the process of weaving it takes about 8 days.
En la comunidad se reúnen para elaborar lo que son las artesanías.
The community comes together now also to work on handicrafts.
Lo que son los tejidos y los collares.
They make different kinds of jewelry out of natural forest products, and they make the textiles.
Bien, la comida tradicional de nosotros es el verde.
The most common staple in their diet is the plantain, the large green cooking banana. the man on the right side is carrying over his shoulder.
También tenemos lo que es el chupocá, un baño de vapor o un sauna natural.
Another one of their important rituals which they practice frequently is a steam bath using medicinal plants. And you can see some of the men here are preparing that.
El procedimiento es recolectamos piedras especiales para calentarlas hasta que estén bien rojitas.
They do this by gathering special rocks and heating them up.
Luego recolectamos lo que son las plantas.
And then they have specialists that will gather the proper medicinal plants.
Luego ponemos en un hoyo lo que son las piedras y el agua caliente, entonces comienza a salir bastante vapor.
So they put both the very hot rocks and the plants into a pot of boiling water, and then this medicinal steam comes out.
Entonces la persona se sienta, se tapa con un manto, luego se abren los poros y sale todas las toxinas.
So a person that wants to be cured of some malady then will sit under a blanket, some sort of a covering, and be bathed in this steam.
Bien, también tenemos lo que es una planta que nosotros conocemos como sopodere. Utilizamos para la picadura de la serpiente.
Going to go back to a previous slide here, I think.
Es esta planta.
Okay, the plant that he's working with right there is a special medicinal plant for them.
Por ejemplo, cuando uno le muerde una serpiente, tiene que amarrarse fuerte.
This particular plant is one of their antidotes for snake venom. They have to wrap this around their whatever part of their body was bitten.
Luego el chamán le frota con unas hojas y amarra y le corta para exprimirle el veneno.
And then the shaman, their spiritual healer, will rub it and will cut open the wound to express, to get rid of the venom.
En la raíz es igualito a una serpiente.
And the root of this plant looks just like a snake.
Entonces le chanca y le pone el zumo de esa raíz en la mordedura y ya no tiene necesidad de irse a un doctor o a una clínica.
So they make a potion out of this and they apply it directly to the snake bite, and then there's no need to go to a doctor or do anything else. That should take care of it.
Vale. Bien. Ahora, Henry.
Okay, Henry's going to go on and talk some more about their diet.
Bien, esta parte Diana expuso la segunda parte. Ahora me toca la tercera parte, que es la alimentación. La alimentación es el pescado, tal como observamos cómo se lo prepara. Ahí está carne de guanta y también es como especie de gusanito, mayón decimos nosotros, que es de palma real. Es una alimentación a diaria con plátano verde.
One of their most common foods besides the plantains they mentioned earlier are fish. They fish a lot in the rivers. They eat fish almost daily. And they also will eat meat from animals that they've hunted. In the lower left, you see some meat. That's from an animal that in Ecuador is called the guanta. It's a small mammal. I don't think there's an English term for it. But they eat that. And then the girl there is eating on a stick some roasted worms. These are larvae of an insect, and they're considered a delicacy. They come from one of the palm trees.
El pescado que está envuelto dentro de una hoja.
The most common way to prepare fish is to wrap the fish, clean the fish, wrap it in banana leaves, and then put it over on a grill over a fire and roast it. Very good.
Preparación para ceremonias rituales, el ayahuasca.
This man is preparing the ayahuasca, the hallucinogenic drink that they use in their healing ceremonies.
Entonces siempre se da de acuerdo al año lunar, del año solar y también buscando paz, armonía entre la naturaleza para siembra y para cosecha. Es un agradecimiento a la tierra.
They have rituals, they have their calendars, they keep track of different times of the year. And for example, for their plantings and so forth, they have special rituals to ensure that everything turns out right. And the men there were standing in a sort of a dugout shelter where they performed some of these rituals.
Teníamos lo que es montañas, ya no hay tantas montañas, los ríos están contaminados, no hay tantos peces. Ahora se siembra, no somos agricultores, pero sembramos para el mercado. Y Ahora nuevo sistema de ingresos económicos en cuanto a subvenir artesanías.
Some of their traditional subsistence has been lost because of changes going on around them. Forests are being cut down by outsiders. If I can interject some he didn't mention, but I think it's important here to know that there is a city in their midst that when I started working in Ecuador in the 1960s had about 20,000 people, and today it's well over 500,000 people. It's just growing up, expanding. There are more and more non-natives coming in. So back to what he said, there's a problem there of deforestation. There aren't as many animals to hunt as there used to be. The rivers are becoming polluted, so they can't necessarily eat the fish all the time. So one thing that they've done is moved a little bit more towards agriculture. They've cleared land to plant crops, and they are also engaged in making handicrafts for sales.
Ese es el fruto silvestre que lo del achote. Es igual que el cabello.
This is the achote plant. The seeds grow inside those pods that have the prickly outside, and you may notice that the shape of the pod itself is what they represent with their hairstyle. The men do. There are lots of seeds. There are about 4 seeds in that one pod, but when they're full of these seeds. This is a seed that you can buy here in the Mexican stores. It's called achote. If you go to the supermarket, it's known as anato. It's a food coloring. They add it to food and they use it for body and hair paint.
Entonces el achote es algo medicinal. Si no hubiese atacado esta epidemia, hubiésemos estado ya una cabeza larga.
If they had never had to suffer through these epidemics a few centuries ago,
Si no hubiese,
they would look quite different today. They would still have the long hair they used to have.
si no hubiese encontrado este fruto silvestre, si no hubiese existido este fruto silvestre, todos los Tsachilas, todos los nativos ya no hubiesen estado existiendo, todo hubiese muerto.
They believe that if they had not found this plant that saved them, that they would be extinct today. They would no longer exist.
Ese es el proceso, se desgrana el achote y es color natural.
He's working with the achote seed and will mix them to make a paste out of it for application to their hair.
Mi nombre Tzapin, el apellido Calazacon proviene del Calatasili, que es de plata.
He said his surname, which is Calazacon, which is the most common surname on Tsachilas, comes from a type of a wristband that's made out of silver. That's typical of their family.
Esto se entrega de padres a hijos por generación.
They're handed down over many generations from father to son.
Al igual sucede cuando un padre es líder o jefe de la tribu o de la nación, fallece de pronto y el hijo mayor asume la responsabilidad.
Traditionally, the sons would take over from their fathers. If their fathers were chiefs or the head chief, and they died, then the oldest son would take over. They were brought up to replace their fathers.
Este es el mal, el fruto que observamos para tener el color negro.
This is the second fruit that they talked about that they used when the epidemic struck. This is the one from which they get the black dye that they use for face and body paint.
Demora 20 a 30 días en salir.
And when they paint that on, it usually lasts for 20 to 30 days on their skin.
Claro. Es el proceso que el esposo a la esposa ayuda al tinte facial.
So typically spouses help paint each other.
Antiguamente las mujeres pasaban torso desnudo.
In the old days, the women mostly went around bare-breasted.
No se cubría para nada.
They didn't cover themselves at all.
Hubo problema en cierto tiempo, llegaron los colonos o los mestizos, empezaron a tocarle o mirarle, y también la secta religiosa. No estamos en contra, pero no hubo ese respeto y dijeron hay que cubrirse, hay que tapar.
And then when more and more outsiders began settling around them, they sometimes had problems with men trying to fondle the women and just causing problems. And then they also had Christian missionaries coming in suggesting that they should cover up their breasts. And so they have done that for convenience sake.
Somos de territorio de costa, entonces por esa razón eran así.
And they live in a very hot tropical climate, and it's actually much more comfortable to go bare-breasted.
Cuando llegué acá, claro que sentí frío, andaba con suéter.
He's been cold ever since he got here a week ago. We finally got him to take off his winter jacket.
Pero estoy aquí. Nuestro mensaje es traer la cultura viva en peligro de extinción. Hemos estado recorriendo Centroamérica, Sudamérica y también por parte de Europa. Acá por primera vez estamos acá. Gracias por permitirnos y abrir la puerta, y espero que también nos visite, a pesar de que Ronald visitó hace 4 o 5 años, 6 años a nuestra comunidad.
Okay. Their primary message here is simply to reach out to people around the world to talk about their culture. They've had the chance to do this in Central America and other countries in South America and even in Europe once. This is their first time in the United States. They're very happy to be here, and they're already talking about coming back and reaching out to more people.
Llegando allá va a haber paz, tranquilidad, armonía con la naturaleza. Río, nativos, aves, montañas y coger pescado. Es el trampa de pez que nosotros pescamos para la alimentación.
They live in a beautiful, natural, forested area. This is a photograph of some of them fishing at one of their fish traps that they built. They built a fish dam, and then out of canes they build a trap. The smaller fish fall through, and the bigger ones they pluck out and eat.
Claro.
Take home and prepare to eat.
Hacemos también intercambios culturales con otros nativos, puede ser de Centroamérica, puede ser Sudamérica. Combinamos, entrelazando, como hoy en la mañana fue algo especial, encontramos otras culturas que también pasaron un proceso de experimentos para no perder y defender su territorio.
They also reach out to other Indian nations in South America and elsewhere, such as you see here in the photograph. He said that this morning we went to the Menominee Reservation, College of the Menominee Nation. They had the chance to sit down and talk with tribal leaders and college leaders there and share their experiences, some of which are very similar, some of their history is very similar, and that's another reason that they have come here.
Grupos de visitantes, esto hace 8 años.
They get now groups, especially from the United States, that come to visit, spend some time with them. They built a little village there with traditional housing and dining area and so forth, so that they can accommodate visitors.
Mi hijo,
They're
tenía 6 meses.
Hennry, Indiana, with their son. Their son is now 11 years old.
Trabajamos duro, esforzamos duro para sostener el intercambio, el apoyo, y hemos avanzado.
They work quite hard to try to maintain this exchange with other cultures. They bring in visitors.
Hacemos un trabajo comunitario con los visitantes de la universidad, pasantías o alguien que le enseñamos, construimos, combinando tanto conocimiento de acá y tanto conocimiento nativo, y construimos lo que es cabañas. Tenemos cabañas para que usted de pronto vaya a Ecuador, tiene cabañas.
Many of their young workers are put to work learning their traditional architecture. They exchange ideas and technology and so forth, and they work on these communal projects.
Entonces, les invitamos de pronto. Gracias una vez más. De pronto, inquietud, pregunta.
Thank you very much. You're all welcome to go visit them, and they're opening up now to some questions.
Y si no hay pregunta, para entonar un tema musical.
And then they're going to play a little music too. Why don't we take some questions to begin with? And then we'll have a little musical interlude and more questions, or sometime we can move into the other room for a reception. Yes, I can see a hand up there, I think.
Yes,
Hard to see.
it's clear. Are the children staying, or are they moving into a more modern lifestyle?
Okay, very good question. Pregunta de los niños, los hijos, si se quedan con ustedes o si están ya saliendo de la cultura, porque no hablan un poco sobre las escuelas y todo eso.
Bueno, de 7 territorios tenemos 7 escuelitas. En 7 escuelas hay profesor nativo y profesor hispano. Entonces, los niños aprenden bilingüe en safiquí, nuestro idioma, y en español. Terminan su año y tienen que salir a buscar colegio en la ciudad. Ahí es el peligro donde se pierde.
I'll cut him off there so I don't forget all of this. But the first part of his answer, each of the 7 reservations has its own school. They have native speakers as well as Spanish speakers, so the children are getting a bilingual education through grade school. And then after that, to go on, if they go on to middle school or high school, they have to go into the city where the education is only in Spanish.
Ahí está el peligro, el riesgo. Cuando ya terminan su colegio, van a la universidad y cuando están en la universidad, el idioma ya lo transforma. Por ejemplo, nosotros, bienvenido, decimos Seke Hayum, pero los jóvenes de ese tiempo, cuando ya están en la ciudad, ya no dicen Seke Hayum, sino dice bienvenida Kwanayoe. Y así se está perdiendo.
So many of their children go on to high school in the city. Some of them will also go on to university. When their children go out into the off the reservations, they start speaking something that would be equivalent to Spanglish. They're mixing their native language with Spanish and coming up with new terms that they don't particularly like to hear back on the reservation. Another question, please.
I wanted to know, what has your country done to help the tribes?
La pregunta es, ¿qué hace el país, el Ecuador, para ayudarles a ustedes a los tribus?
Bueno, nosotros tenemos organización que es una organización que se maneja con leyes internas, ¿no? Tenemos una ley especial. Esta ley especial, frente al gobierno, presentamos propuestas de apoyo. Dice, son poco 2.400 Tsachilas. Ellos quieren alzar la bandera cuando haya campaña o elecciones, que haya más de 10.000 nativos Tsachilas, no tenemos. Entonces, por esa razón, no nos toma en cuenta, por más propuesta bonita, un proyecto que llegue, no nos hace caso. Ese es el problema.
They have their own internal government. They have a certain amount of autonomy or sovereignty, but they have to abide by Ecuadorian laws. Ecuadorian politicians make a big deal about them during election season, and the rest of the time when they make proposals, for example, to the government just thinks they're a very small ethnic group, 2,400 people, let's not bother with them. So they have a very cynical attitude towards the government, which has not provided much help over the years.
Has there been any prophecies passed down through the generations about the demise or, let's say, future etiquette of how to preserve their ways?
La pregunta es si ustedes tienen profecía sobre la sobrevivencia de su cultura o la manera de hacerlo, o si tienen leyendas, cuentos sobre el futuro.
Bueno, el gran jefe antes de fallecer dijo, los Tsachilas tienen que unir para que el mundo globalizado que va a venir a futuro va a destruir, va a terminar. Entonces decía diablos rojos, que nosotros decimos Lubarco. Entonces, al decir Lubarco, es de que este diablo rojo es la globalización. Está bien, la ciencia y tecnología queremos nivelar, como nativos manejamos tecnología. El problema es de que ya no quieren ser Tsáchila, ni ser blanco o ni ser mestizo. Entonces, es una profecía que se va a morir. Ahora, también decía...
I'm going to stop in there so I don't forget too much of this. He began responding, but not so much about a prophecy, but about some of the words that their last great hereditary leader made, his great-grandfather, which is that we have to be united. He referred to the outside world, the coming globalization, even before people use that sort of terminology. He referred to that as the red demon, and that we have to be united so that we can encounter this and survive this encounter.
Ahora, para el calentamiento del planeta, decía también Tsáchila antes de fallecer, este árbol que encontramos, que vemos este árbol, y los hombres que vienen de afuera van a cortar y van a llevar. Al caer ese árbol, ¿cuántas aves ya no van a poner nido o no van a alimentar? ¿Y cuántas semillas ya no caerá? y entonces la tierra quedará como desierto y así irá perdiendo.
Their last great chief also talked about the forest around them, that these outsiders were coming in to cut down the trees. When they cut down the trees, then the birds don't have a place to make their nests, and then eventually everything is going to turn into a desert.
Por esa razón, para que no se muera esta cultura, hay que apoyarlo con conocimientos como especialista en diferentes áreas, ramas. Es decir, yo apoyo este programa de pronto reforestación, yo apoyo a la investigación, yo apoyo a la edificación de un colegio o una escuela para que viva el idioma y la forma de vida. Así no morirá, vivirá 100 años o 200 años más.
So in order to maintain their culture, they have to have specialists that some will take care of preserving their language, some will take care of developing their resources, and the best I can do, sorry.
Bueno, entonces, los Tsachilas, voy a hablar. Se practicaba poligamia. El líder tenía que tener 2 o 3 mujeres o una esposa en cada territorio.
In the old days, the hereditary chief, in fact, many of the leaders practiced polygamy. They would have 2 or 3 wives. The head chief would often have 1 wife in each of the 7 reservations.
Y la primera esposa ayudaba a escoger a la segunda, a la tercera.
And then the first wife would help to choose the other co-wives that came after.
Y tenía que tener de 7, 14 a 21 hijos.
And they used to have, their leaders had very large families, 7, 14, even 20 children.
Esto sostuvo hasta el año 1962, ya hubo cambio.
In 1962, there was quite a cultural change, a shift, and a lot of these old practices went by the wayside very quickly.
Lo de Instituto Lingüístico Verano ILB dijo un estudio del idioma, empezaron a conquistar, voy a hablar sector religioso, nosotros respetamos, ¿no? Entonces dijeron, tiene que seguir a Cristo, a Jesús. Eso es pecado, eso es malo, debe tener una sola esposa.
Around 1962, evangelical missionaries working for the Summer Institute of Linguistics, previously known as the WIPPS Bible translators, today they go by a different name, but they're evangelical missionaries who go around the world. Their main objective is to translate the Bible into every known language to evangelize people. These missionaries learned their language and told them that plural marriages, for example, were a sin, that they had to stop doing that.
Y muchos hijos, la población va a crecer muy rápido y el territorio hay muy poco, no va a haber. Entonces, actualmente tienen 2, 3 hijos, no más.
And they also decided that having two large families, that they were going to outgrow their territory, that it's much better just to have very small families. Today they typically have 1, 2, or 3 children per family.
Nosotros hemos pedido permiso para hablar acerca de lo que voy a hablar. Decía que era secreto guardado, no hay que divulgar, pero muchos abuelos murieron, nuestros ancestros murieron con ese conocimiento. Hoy actualmente estamos divulgando. Hay un fruto silvestre que se llama nakuyashili. Si la mujer y el esposo ya no quieren tener hijos, toma ese fruto silvestre de manera de jugo, toma, 2 toma, y eso va a secar óvulo de la mujer, queda estéril, nunca jamás puede tener hijos.
What he's telling us now used to be considered secret information they were not allowed to divulge, but he has permission, he says, to talk about this, that now they're more interested in divulging what they know. That they have a plant that they can take. If a woman doesn't want to have any more children, she can take this twice, and it basically dries up her ovaries.
Entonces, también voy a hablar de un ave. Se llama napichu. Napichu es un ave mítico.
He's also going to talk about a mythical bird.
Esta es la comunidad, y aquí está la montaña. Entonces, en la tarde canta esta ave. Y todos saben de esta ave, dice. Alguien está embarazada por aquí.
This bird, from their villages, they can hear this bird out in the forest occasionally. And when they hear this bird, their first response is, somebody's pregnant. This bird advises them of pregnancy.
Entonces, esta ave canta solo en la tarde. Entonces ya se sabe quién es. Dice, sí, tal mujer está embarazada. De 3 meses, cuando ya está la mujer en gestación, si es niña, canta. si es niña. Si es varón, canta. Uniro, uniro. Ya sabe que es niña. Sin ir a hacer ecografía sabemos que es niña o niño. Y la comunidad contenta.
This bird only sings in the afternoon sometimes. And once they know that a woman is pregnant, if they hear this bird 3 months later, then depending on how it sings, the first example he gave was for a female child, the second example was for a male, just so we don't have to go to the expense of ultrasound.
Entonces, es importante la cultura así, que se pierda. Si no trabajamos, si no apoyamos, yo propongo 15 a 20 años. Es duro. Solamente ver en video decir, Tsachilas o Colorado vivían de esta manera. O tal Tsáchila usaba este calatas y esta cosa. No queremos estar expuesta en un museo. Por eso es la resistencia, la lucha y llevar este mensaje.
So their interest is to maintain their culture. If they don't struggle to maintain it, he thinks within 20 years it's going to be mostly gone. And their culture is only going to be visible in museum as artifacts. They don't want it simply to become museum pieces.
Ahora vamos a entonar música y el instrumento que está aquí, mi padre, faltando una semana me dice, Chapini, Hennry, ¿vas a dar mensaje? Claro, yo voy a elaborar un instrumento. Es la única persona que está entonando de los 7 territorios.
They're going to do a little musical interlude here on the marimba and the drum. I should mention, first of all, the drum is not one of their own. They do have their own drums, but they had enough trouble bringing the marimba on the airplane. So they were given a drum, which is actually from the Taos Pueblo, but it works nicely. The marimba was made by his father. His father is the last man in their tribe that knows how to make and to keep in tune this instrument. And about a week before they left Ecuador, he said, "Are you going to take messages out to this other country?" And Hennry said, "Yes." And he says, "Well, I have to make you a marimba so that you can sing to them." So here it is.
¿Sí? ¿Sí? ¿Listo? Sí.
If you feel compelled to get up and dance.
Gracias una vez más por abrir la puerta y espero que le haya gustado este mensaje como cultura, como nativo. Y luego de eso es una exposición artesanal, son souvenirs, son recuerdos que han trabajado las mujeres Tsachilas. Es un fondo común que se crea, ¿no? De pronto, si ustedes compran, sería un aporte para las culturas Tsachilas. Gracias.
Thank you again for allowing them to speak about their culture, share that with you. And if you want to go back into the reception area and look at their handicrafts, if you decide to buy any, as he said, that this goes for their common effort to maintain their culture. Thank you.